welcome to Monday Night Money. This is very first off, I need to say I forgot to change the title of this stream.
So very unserious.
Yeah, very unserious pod here. But thank you for joining Monday Night Money. That will be fixed next week. Very generic layout for tonight, but we're working on getting things going. But yeah, welcome to the show, and welcome my guest, Smitty from Around the 412. Everybody knows him better than me, so.
I don't know about that, man. You gotta give yourself more credit than that.
Sometimes when I feel like it's needed. But thanks for coming on, Smitty, and thanks for being on the first episode of Monday Night Money.
Yeah, history being made. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I'm a little bit upset that the other half of Platt's picks isn't here, but we'll make do.
I know we tried to get both halves here, get the whole show on, a big collab, but
I think he might have had a better week than me. I had the bet of the week, which we can talk about here in a second, but I think overall he had a better week than me, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, if people go back and watch last night's stream, I thought I was gonna go 3-2. I was like, whatever. Them Cowboys, they helped me out. Ended up going 4-1. I got my girlfriend staring at me with a fit of rage right now. She hates the Cowboys, but they won me some money.
From a fantasy perspective, very happy because I'm a CeeDee Lamb owner. However, I had the Pats covering, so
yeah,
my ideal scenario would have been this. Okay, let's go back in time to last night's game. Here's what I wanted to have happen: the Pats go down in overtime and kick a field goal. The Cowboys come down and score a touchdown, either Zeke or CeeDee Lamb. That would have been perfect. Cowboys still win the game, but they don't cover.
Yeah, that would have been ideal for you. For me, I didn't need.
Oh, did you pick up? Oh, yeah. See, it would have worked out for both of us. What do you mean it would have been ideal for me?
I mean, so I had the teaser as well, which I don't know. Maybe that because the teaser I had Dallas +3. So go through that scenario again. I'm not good at maths.
No, it would have worked for you too then.
Okay.
Especially if they would have won. Yeah, I mean, +3, they win. That's obviously covering.
Yeah, so, I mean, yesterday surprisingly went well for me. I'm just going to get through my picks real quick. Like I said, last night's show, I was like, I'm going to go 3-2. Ended up going 4-1. Oh, shit. I'm on the Action Network app right now, and I forgot they, get rid of your bets from the day before, so I gotta go find them real quick.
Yeah, if you go to analysis,
I got
yesterday.
It.
Yeah.
So we went 4-1. The only one we didn't cash, which we should have. We should have went 5-0 yesterday with the Chargers in Baltimore over 51.5. But what happened to the Chargers yesterday, Smitty?
What happened is they were exposed a little bit, I think. Yeah. The Chargers, I still think that they're one of the better teams in the AFC. But the thing is, I didn't realize going into yesterday, and this is on me, I'll take blame for this, how god-awful their run defense was. And against a team like Baltimore, that ain't going to cut it. I know I could be playing running back for Baltimore. That's what they do. They run the football. If you can't stop the run, game script dictates that. And they're going to be able to blow you out in a manner that they did yesterday, completely shutting down Justin Herbert in that offense, too. It was a very impressive performance for Baltimore. I mean, kudos to them. They're after weeks of them having to hear they're not as good as their record shows because they eked out wins against the likes of Detroit. They really showed up and showed out against the Chargers. So I really don't have any explanation for it other than Baltimore's a lot better than people were giving them credit for, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I honestly knew that I had a feeling. I'm not going to say I knew, but I had a feeling the Chargers defense was a little suspect. And I was like, that's where a lot of the points are going to come for Baltimore. But Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler just couldn't get it figured out. They've been killing it for my fantasy team this year, keeping me in games, blowing out people for me. And it's like yesterday, they hit a brick wall.
Yeah, I think every team's going to have a game like that. It's unfortunate for them because, everything that they've kind of been building up, this was like a true litmus test to see where the Chargers were at. Are they for real? And for them to fail that in such a way, now they're going to have their own doubters that they have to silence in the coming weeks here. But, yeah, I don't have any qualms about the Chargers going forward. It's a disappointing performance, obviously, but, I still think that they're one of the better teams, again, in the AFC West. For sure, they're the favorites. So you look at, especially because they have that game in hand on Kansas City. Kansas City already having 3 losses, so essentially the Chargers have another win on top of them, like head-to-head right now. So I don't have any qualms about the Chargers going forward.
Yeah, no, the Chargers are one of my wild card teams for this year. I really think they're going to get a wild card spot, even if it is the last spot. I just think their team's too good not to. They're gonna hit that next level. I think we saw that last year with just what Herbert was able to do in his first game. He didn't even know he was going to start, and he took Kansas City to overtime.
I think the other reason that it was a little bit disappointing is that, like, that was like, it was like a national stage for them, right? I mean, playing against Baltimore, you could say, along with Kyler Murray, maybe, you know, the two front runners for MVP, Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert. And, you know, one of those guys continues on that trajectory, and the other one kind of fell flat on his face for a day. So it is what it is. The only action I actually had, big shout out to Steve, my handicapper. The only bet that I had in that game was Baltimore covering. So, you know, I won on that one.
Easy pick there.
Yeah.
So, Smitty, did you have any other like bad beats or anything that you want to discuss?
Oh, brother. Just football related, or I mean, where are we going with this?
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, I know we got baseball playoffs. Let's stick to football for now. We can get to playoffs once we get to the World Series, because that's when I'll be betting more baseball, is when the World Series comes up.
Yeah, let me go through here and see if there was anything that I missed by just like one, or if anything was. Oh man, so Ryan Platt, big shout out. We already brought him up. Parlay Platt's picks, whatever you want to call him. He sent me a teaser that he was doing, okay? And it like brought the points down for Houston Indy down to like 38, right? Indy scored 31, and that still didn't hit.
Wow.
The Texans scored 3 points against an Indy defense that we saw what that secondary looked like in that comeback for Baltimore the previous week. So, yeah, that's the only reason that that teaser didn't hit. What else did we have happen? Oh, my upset parlay I was kind of upset about, because Jacksonville won and Arizona won. The reason it didn't hit was Carolina, Minnesota, and that game went to overtime. So, like, that very well could, like, Carolina, that was a weird game. Did you pay attention to that game? Were you watching it at all? Or
not really. I was paying more attention to, because that was a 1 o'clock game, right?
Yeah.
I was paying more attention to Chargers Baltimore, and then also, what was the other game I had on? I'm looking at
Kansas City, Washington. I know they played.
That one up, because I was sweating that bet. Because I had Kansas City covering -6.5, and they didn't pull away until the end of the game, so I was sweating the hell out of that.
Yeah, but so Carolina started out this game really well. Minnesota came back and they were up 2 scores, but then Carolina comes back. They're down to 8 with a minute left. They drive down the field, get it, then get the 2-point conversion to send it to overtime.
Yeah.
And then Minnesota just goes down the field and scores a touchdown. But yeah, that was a 3-way parlay. Every week on the show that we do Platt's Picks, I do an upset parlay. That 3-way parlay was 1,108 odds plus 1,108. So that would have been a nice payout.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Carolina did not get it done in overtime. So I think that was really the only NFL bet that I really had like a bad bet on. Like the other one, I lost other bet. Oh, well, I guess you could say that Dallas New England one, went to overtime. I had New England plus 3.5. But everything else was either like just a complete blowout. Like I had a bad read on that Detroit Cincinnati game. I actually thought Detroit would cover. Just with the way they've been. I know that they're winless, but they've been playing so hard for Dan Campbell and
biting off kneecaps all season.
But I actually, I mean, yesterday was okay. I hit on my Steelers parlay. So, yeah, really nothing else terrible.
So, yeah, I want to get into the Steelers parlay and our Steelers bets soon. But I just wanted to first point out my the gut check that I like to call it on the spread.
Oh, I actually did one of those this week because of your influence, and I missed by one game so far. We'll see what happens with Buffalo, Tennessee, because I picked Buffalo, but I only missed one game.
Yeah, so I ended up missing 3. The only big surprise was Denver not beating Las Vegas. I wasn't expecting Vegas to come back and play that well after losing their head coach.
That's one of those things that goes like goes one of 2 ways. Either they would have came out and fallen flat on their faces and got like 35-0, or exactly what happened where like they just rally around that kind of like. So to me, maybe they really want this guy to be their next head coach. Maybe they love him in that locker room, and that was kind of like a statement from them to say we want this to be the guy.
Yeah, and I mean, from what I've been hearing on like NFL radio on Sirius XM and like everywhere I listen to NFL stuff, it's just like this guy's a player's coach. Like the players go to him for any issues or whatever that they have, and he really gets the players and they want to win for him. So I think you're right there in that statement. Just that this is the guy they want to be in there. If this is the situation they're in, this is who they want to be in there.
Yeah. So what games did you lose on the gut check?
So I ended up losing Carolina, because Minnesota won, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Chargers. I had the Chargers beating the Ravens.
Okay. All right.
So that one was like,
That's I said I lost one. That's the one that I lost. So
yeah. So now let's get into our Steelers picks that we had. I was real big on the Deontay Johnson first touchdown because it's just been trending. What, the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's had the first touchdown.
Yeah, definitely Green Bay and definitely Denver. Beyond that, I don't remember if he scored the first touchdown. But either way, yeah, it had been.
But still, it was a trend.
Yeah. Yeah, I hit on one of my Steeler parlays and did not on the other. The one that I did was just a little 3-player prop one: Deontay Johnson over the yardage, Najee Harris over his yardage, and Freiermuth. Man, when are they going to adjust his receptions? It was still set at 1.5. I mean, I'm going to hammer that over every time until they adjust it to like 2.5, 3.5.
I didn't even see that. I didn't even look at like receiver props, honestly, and I'm so mad I didn't because you're right. That's one to be hammered. Because Ben, like I said on the spread, Ben keeps talking about how he wants to get him involved. And if he's talking about it, he's going to do it.
I thought he was, the second or third best player on the entire offense yesterday, Pat Freiermuth. Yeah. I know that, he didn't get a touchdown, kind of got, I don't want to say vultured because I know it was a rushing touchdown for Ebron, but still, like when you get down into that goal line, I think, as the season continues to go the way that it has and we continue to see Freiermuth's role expand, like he will be that number 1 or 2 option in the red zone by the time that we're, if we do this in a couple weeks, we're going to be talking about Pat Freiermuth's red zone usage, hopefully. So yeah, I mean, I look at yesterday's game and I think, Najee Harris, obviously, again, over 100 yards from scrimmage. Deontay Johnson, I thought yesterday was going to be like his coming out party and looked like it was going to be that way for the first half. The second half, I mean, everything kind of went off the rails. So it's hard to say, it's hard to put blame on just him. He did have his first drop of the season though. But yeah, so yeah, that hit, that was plus 439 odds. I put $20 on it. So that hit you're about to see me get upset on here. Because listen, I have very high hopes for this guy, but Chase Claypool, man, my God, what were we doing yesterday? I alternated his yards down he only had to get 25 yards. Okay.
Yeah.
A seven leg same game parlay. That was the only thing that missed is he didn't get 25 freaking yards. He got 17 yards.
Oh my gosh. See, I don't know if you follow Adam Kurtz at all on Twitter. He's a friend of mine, but me and him always go back and forth about how we think Claypool is not being utilized to his strengths in this offense. We know he can stretch the field, but they're really only using him to stretch the field to get PI calls. It's nothing to get him yards downfield. It's just, let's throw it up to him and see if he can cause a hand fight and get the call to go on the defense.
I think the blueprint for what they need to do with him, especially because like what they're going to have to do for the rest of the season, sans Juju Smith-Schuster, is what we saw in that Denver game. I mean, we actually saw them, utilize the middle of the field with him. If he's not going to win those 50-50 jump balls, just get him, to the middle of the field where he can get some mismatches on some safeties and some linebackers and let him do it that way. Because, we saw him make that nice play in the end zone, his first touchdown of the season against Denver. And I fully expected against the 32nd ranked Seahawks defense that they'd do the same thing. Now, I know that the Seahawks were kind of testing them to go deep. They were playing everybody in the box and saying throw the ball deep. And maybe if Ben hits that one to Deontay early, that changes the way that Seattle plays their defense. But they tested them, and the Steelers really never made them adjust. But at the same time, they didn't really have to, especially in that first half. The second half, I don't want to say it was just the offense or just the defense. The Seattle should never been able to run the ball the way that they did that second half. But the Steelers never had to do anything different offensively just because they were able to just do enough.
Yeah, exactly. And now this brings me to my last bet that I had on this game that didn't hit. I went 0 for 3 on props on this game. It sucks, but it happens. I had Roethlisberger over 255.5 yards. I thought I had some decent, what do you call it?
That's under his average for the year, yeah.
Exactly. Like I saw his average was 256 was his average, and then Seattle was averaging letting up 304.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how does he not hit? And then I was the whole time, I'm like, in the back of my head with the whole controversy of the spike and did he spike it on time? Was it a fumble? Was it not a fumble? Was it even a catch? That whole thing. In the back of my head, I'm still like, yeah, let's go to overtime. because I needed at that time. I think I needed like 40 more passing yards.
Yeah,
He
right.
ended the day with 229.
Yeah,
So
I
it was rough.
alternated him down to 200. So
Ah,
I felt like this was going to be a 32nd ranked defense. You should be able to beat this team through the air or on the ground, whatever you want to
yeah,
do. But just looking at the fact that I feel like the Steelers kind of laid the blueprint for what they want to do against Denver, and it was Najee Harris. Ben only threw 25 times, completed 15. That game, while he did get over that average, we're talking about a 256. A lot of that was yak. So I was
yeah.
like, if that doesn't happen another time, another week, I'm not so sure that he gets to that number again. So I alternated him down to just 200 in that parlay that would have hit again if Chase Claypool just had 8 more receiving yards. But it is what it is. I felt like yesterday was going to be a game on the ground, and not that it wasn't. I mean, Najee Harris did his thing for sure again, over 100 total yards. But
And I was going to bring that up and say that's another overlooked prop that I didn't even think to bet on. I think his yards were set at like 72 and a half, maybe, and he got over 100.
yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I don't know what his total yards were set at. I'm not sure. His rushing was at 76 and a half.
Or that's what I meant. Sorry, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And
Corrected me.
I took that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because now they have the bye. But then going against Cleveland's defense the following week is going to be very interesting to see what the props are set at. I'm assuming that we're finally going to see Fryermuth's jump up. I hope not.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, we hope that his prop doesn't go up, but I think we agree his production will go up for sure.
yeah,
So now let's move on to tonight's game. We got a Monday Night Football matchup: Buffalo versus Tennessee. You got the team everybody thinks is going to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC versus a Tennessee team who I can't even take them seriously because they lost to the Jets. So, I mean, what do you have on this game? I know I got a pretty big, I got a 6-leg parlay tonight,
ooh.
but let's hear what you got for tonight.
So, all right, Cody and I were talking about this before we started recording. I may have I placed a bet a little sooner than I feel like I should have on this game. I've since gotten expert advice on something different, so I'll just let you know everything that I'm rolling with. And if you're like, "What is this dude talking about? He's going against himself," it's probably because that I am. So we'll start with just my player prop that I got here. I always like for these Monday night any game that's in prime time, I'm going to do a parlay that is just anytime touchdown scores. So I got Stephon Diggs, Derrick Henry, and Dawson Knox, all anytime touchdown scores. Really like that bet. I feel like 2 of those are about as sure as you can get when it comes to anytime touchdown scores, especially going against a Tennessee secondary that, in my opinion, is just not very good. I feel like they're kind of overperforming right now. I think they're like 5th in defense EPA, but that's not going to hold up. That's not a very good defense. I know they are getting Bud Dupree back, but for me, it's really more about the secondary. I do like Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech, but he's just not there yet. And then I have a 3-way parlay. This is the one that I got expert advice on. AJ Brown over 56 and a half yards. I feel like last week he was still kind of coming back from that injury. This week I expect him to be all systems go. We'll see how much he sees of Trayvon White, because that's going to be interesting. If it is like a shadow situation, but I just think when you also have Julio Jones, they're not going to be able to give you that much attention. Also, Tennessee over 23 and a half points total in this game, and then Tennessee to cover the 3.5 points first half spread. And then finally, the bet that I decided to place on my own before any of that advice took place. This is where I just feel like I went kind of stupid. 7 leg part. Did you say yours was 7 legs too?
Mine's 6, so you got me beat by 1.
6. Okay, so I just, man, I look for like safe bets on some of these parlays, but then I by the time that I'm done with it, I'm like, man, I added way too many legs like for this to actually all happen. So Bills to cover, but the Titans to alternate spread, Titans 10.5. 20 plus completions for Josh Allen. Derrick Henry over 64.5 rushing yards. Bills race to 20 points. Over 1.5 touchdowns for the Bills, and over half a touchdown for the Titans. That's a 7-leg parlay. And I think I had like an odd number in my account at this time, I'm assuming, because I put $6.46 on it. So I'm not sure why I would put that amount.
That's what I usually do too. Just sprinkle the pennies on there, get you more money.
But yeah, that can win 49.05. So I'm not sure what the exact odds were on that.
There you go.
And then last thing that I like here is another like just player prop. I've been really big into Dawson Knox recently. I feel like he's
Same.
kind of becoming a focal point of that Buffalo offense. We're starting to see Emmanuel Sanders, his production really doesn't match his target share for that offense right now. He's only getting like 6 targets a game, but he just seems to be turning every target into something massive. I think that starts to decline a little bit. So I got Dawson Knox over 24.5 receiving yards. That, again, kind of similar to Pat Freiermuth. I just feel like his number's still so low right now. Under 84.5 for Emmanuel Sanders, and then Dawson Knox 3+ receptions. Put $10 on that, and I can win 18.
Nice.
So yeah.
So yeah, like you said, for the same game parlays, I try to keep it safe as well. I feel like I did that with my parlay. I did an alternate spread -2.5. For Buffalo, I should mention.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we did Derrick Henry over 55 yards. Feel like that's an easy bet. Josh Allen over 250 yards passing. And then I have Zach Moss over 44.5 yards rushing. Josh Allen over 24.5 yards rushing. Then anytime touchdown, Dawson Knox. Now with Dawson Knox, we just kind of discussed it there. He's really become a focal point of this offense these last few weeks. And we have a little bit of a homecoming for him. He went to Tennessee in college. He's playing in Tennessee tonight. I always like to look at that factor. He's probably telling Josh Allen, like, hey, like, let me show out in front of the fam, in front of the boys, something like that. So he might throw him a few extra targets to try and get him in the end zone. With the Josh Allen rushing yards, I almost had him for a touchdown, for anytime touchdown, but I was like, let's pull back, But I feel like the 24.5 is an easy pick there.
So I like that actually a lot. Now I didn't bet on this, but I'll tell you why that like I would be tempted to do so. It's for the same reason that I took the over rushing yards on Patrick Mahomes yesterday against Washington. Pretty decent pass rush, and for Tennessee, like I just mentioned, they're getting Bud Dupree back. Harold Landry's a pretty decent pass rusher. Jeffrey Simmons from the inside. They're going to have Josh Allen kind of moving around, and I feel like there's going to be multiple cases where you see him scrambling. He's one of those guys, just from a fantasy perspective, you start to realize, like, okay, this guy's adding like 4 or 5 points on the ground every week as well. So, yeah, that's a pretty solid number. I'm not sure how much higher I would go than that, but I feel pretty comfortable about, what'd you say, 24.5, right?
4.5. That was the lowest you could go on DraftKings same game parlays.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
And then with the Henry over 55,
Oh,
I took that so low because I love Buffalo's defense. Their front seven has gotten a lot better. Just look at last week's game. But then again, they're playing a Kansas City team that hasn't found themselves yet. But yeah, it's an easy thing to put in your parlay for him to get 55 yards. That's so easy.
I mean, yeah, he's averaging over 100. So his number, like not alternated, is 95.5. I mean, that's pretty close to what it is weekly. So have to feel pretty comfortable about that. I'm curious as to like, when are people going to start touching the Derrick Henry receiving props? Because he's like on pace to have a career year receiving. Like the dude had like 12 career receptions coming into this year, and he's going to absolutely shatter that just this season.
Yeah, no, I don't remember what the number was, but I looked at it and I was like, that's way too high for Derrick Henry. But then again, I haven't been paying attention to the Titans as much. So, like you said, like he might set a record.
Yeah, and I believe Darrington Evans, the second running back, I believe that he's out. So,
okay.
He would be like that change of pace receiving back. So now you only have Derrick Henry and Jeremy McNichols as healthy backs.
Yeah.
We can see him do a little bit more receiving. This is running backs catching the ball backfield for me is always one of those things that it's like, it depends on the way that I think the game is going to go. If they're going to be up, I don't see it happening that much. But if they're going to be playing from behind, actually, dumping off, checking where they kind of get away from the ground game and they're throwing the football, then it's a number that I always want to touch. But in this game where, we kind of both feel like it's going to be closer than what they have the number set at, especially because it's in Tennessee, I feel like Derrick Henry could be involved a little bit more in both the running and pass game.
So yeah, that's my 6-legger for tonight. I'll be rooting on for that. That comes out to plus 1,000. I put 25 on it for those that use DraftKings. You get the $25 insurance on that. So that's 25 to win 250. That's not bad.
Absolutely. Did you put that out on Twitter or Action or anything like that?
It is on my Action, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Which is something I should probably advertise more that I am on Action Network.
Yeah,
Honestly, that's one of my favorite apps. I probably use it
yeah,
the
it's
most.
cool. It's cool to like follow other people too. You can see like the people that are up the most units in every
Yeah.
sport and like follow them and see what their action looks like. Although I've done that before and I'm like, I lose one time and I'm like, what is this? He says it's supposed to be the experts.
Yeah, right. No, see, for me, it's like I switched up I used to do like money, right? You know, you can do the money in the units.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I first got the app, like a year and a half ago, I was doing money. I was putting my money in there, and I was like, you know what? I think I don't want people to know how much I'm betting. I'm just going to go by units. So now it's like it's all messed up because used to put like, okay, I'm betting $10 on this, betting 20 on that. To I'm betting a 1 unit, 2 units, and it doesn't calculate for that. It
Yeah,
just
and
keeps the number and not the unit.
yeah, and also I feel like that might be a little bit harder to keep track of, just because it's like, oh wait, did I place? What am I considering a unit? Like, did I actually place a full unit on this? Did I place a full unit on this? Like, I feel like you'd have to update that immediately after placing the bet. Where it's like, in my mind, I just know that I'm always placing. It's like somewhere between $10 to $50, and I'm able to keep track of. Oh, this is what this one
Exactly.
was.
Yeah. So that's like my unit. My unit's $20. So like I'll put like
Same, yeah.
0.75 units. I'll put 1.25 units for whatever I change it up to. But yeah, that's if you go on my Action, I believe it's CK_bets. If you go on there and see like that my stats are all jacked up, that's why. But anyway,
I think I'm plus 100 or something in the last week or so. So
oh really? Yeah,
not bad.
I'm up like 0.97 units. So that's not
Mm.
even. But yesterday I went 4.34 units. So that's around $96. So
I should have. I know hindsight's 2020, but I really wish I would have put more on Purdue.
yeah. I didn't even touch that game because I had a feeling and I was like, you know what? I don't want to be wrong, so I'm just not going to touch it.
I was just like, man, watching Iowa Penn State. Iowa loses that game if Sean Clifford doesn't get hurt.
Absolutely.
Iowa's defense,
Not that I
they're
think
good.
Sean Clifford's a good quarterback,
Oh,
but
no, he stinks too.
yeah,
But
losing your starting quarterback sucks.
they
Especially
are
when you don't have a good backup.
They were 158th in offense going into that game. That's a very good defense. But Purdue was coming off of a bye week, so they had 2 weeks to prepare just for this game.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a perfect storm. And yeah, I only put $15 on it. So I won 60, but it was like, man, that could have been so much more. I should have just done 25 to win 100 even. I mean,
Yeah.
what
were you thinking?
I know I did.
But anyway, Smitty, I want to thank you for coming on the first episode of Monday Night Money. I just remembered you were on the first episode of CK Radio back in the day.
Wow.
That's
That's
first
been a while.
podcast I ever did. So hopefully we get the same success. But yeah, anyway, I want to thank you for coming on. Everybody go watch Platt's Picks every Wednesday, I believe.
Typically it's actually Thursday this week, just because we all had to move the fantasy football show. So it's gonna be Thursday this week.
Yeah, so this Thursday, watch Platt's Picks with Smitty and Platt. And again, thanks for coming on. Maybe next week I'll have Platt and we'll kick you to the curb.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, thanks.